whom do you have to stay away from? Who would you stay away from? Huh? Everybody. I had to stay away from everybody to become transformed and to become a reader. In fact, I've invented a saying that says to go from poverty to the professions, you must first cross a bridge called books. So in order for them to get into Berkeley and get high SAT, you stay away from your peers. And while they're watching all of March Madness, you watch the highlights. In the weekends, it's not for sleeping in or watching cartoons. That's your reading advantage. And you learn something about summers and breaks. And that is that when you finish, children from poverty, when they finish the 7th grade and then have a summer break, by the time they showed up to the 8th grade, they lost 2 months of everything else they had learned during the academic year in the 7th grade, and it's going to take them 6 weeks to catch up. Go into Google Johns Hopkins Center for Reducing Summer Learning Loss. And you find out that that is true, and it's been verified scientifically. Students from poverty lose 2 months in the summer, and it takes them 6 weeks to catch up. But if you read and you're engaged, you don't fall behind. Even if you can't go on an expensive vacation or a space camps or to do the things or get reinforcement in conversations about vocabulary. So if you want to get into a flagship university, you stay away from your peers that do not value education, and that pretty well guarantees that you get in. So once you get in, what is the one cultural competency that you have? To stay away from who? From everyone. See, what gets you in can't get you through. What gets you in can't get you through. Now, the reason why they stayed away from their peers was because the peers, for the most part, didn't value education. But when you get into Berkeley, you are with peers that what? Value education, especially when you go to calculus in order to get through engineering. So what Yuri Treisman says in part, and I know I may be oversimplifying it, but what he was saying in part is that educators are not teaching calculus or biology or English or history or psychology or sociology. In fact, what we're doing is teaching different generations of learners. And consequently, what Yuri Treisman challenged the academic profession to do is to basically say at the beginning of the course, if your parents do not have a high school diploma or a college degree, you are going to be at a disadvantage in my course unless you begin to study with someone whose parents have graduated from college and they have the social capital. So team up with someone who has the social capital. And by the way, good news. The good news is that if you come from a family that has the social capital, and I come to you, and you have the social capital, the moment that you begin to explain to me what I may not explain, benefits you more than it benefits me. I want you to say, teach it once, learn it twice. For those of you that teach like Sunday school or Sabbath school, for those of you that do that, who knows more, the Sabbath school teacher, the Sunday school teacher, or the student? The teacher. You're teaching it, you're explaining it, you're illustrating it. So if you want your children to go to earn a scholarship, if you want your child to earn a scholarship, One of the things that you may want to do is have your child tutor other children that don't know as much about what your child knows a lot of. And because your children shares that, they now own it with more than just one of the senses of either hearing it or seeing it. But when you teach it, you put ownership on that. And that's an excellent way for you to prepare your child for AP and additional courses. Are you with me? Give me a band. So we go back here. The reason why minorities are likely to fail in the technical areas is because there's a pretty good chance that they might be what? Say first generation. And that's the rub, and that's the deal. Now, what does this have to do with transformation for USDA? Because the principle holds. It's not just about college, it's about anything. If you are a first generation anything at USDA, you need mentoring, you need coaching. If you do not have families that historically have worked at USDA, you are at a disadvantage. Consequently, mentoring cannot be a code word for developing females, for developing those group labeled minorities. Mentoring ought to be for every member of the team that is a first generation employee of USDA and APHIS. If you are the first in your family to work for this agency, you might benefit a lot from coaching and mentoring. Give me a band. Okay, it's in that spirit. True or false? If you have EO, you don't need diversity inclusion. False. If you got EO, you got respect. If you have diversity inclusion, you have the possibility of developmental relationships called mentoring. Respect me, and then invite me to the team. But remember, you don't have to mentor everybody. You mentor people with fire in the belly, with a hungry to matter, with eagerness to learn. And what you have to be careful is that you just don't mentor people that are a member of your affinity group. There are people like me that may not be from your affinity group that have the fire in the belly and that would benefit and would make you proud. So we're not asking you to mentor everybody. That doesn't work. But don't just choose to mentor the people that are most like you. At least mentor the people that are most like you in their passion and their commitment for excellence in the workplace. Are you with me? Give me a band. Amen. True or false, if you eliminate illegal acts and discrimination, you will eventually have the inclusive, mission-driven, diverse teams. True or false? False. Keep this in mind, that there are a lot of legal things, says there are a lot of legal things that we do that have a discriminatory outcome. You with me? See, I can choose to mentor my brother from Cuba or from some other place because he's Latino. And I choose to select him for pre-selection and favoritism. How many of you ever heard of pre-selection? See, that what we do there is we know the position is open. We want the person that we want to enter into that position. So we sit with the person. We told them that we've sort of selected them, but that they have to go to Phoenix University to get a course in order to fill a gap. And then we put them in an acting capacity. And then we write the job description so that they're the only ones in the whole world that can meet that demand. By the time you make it public and you post it, you might as well put a photograph of the fool who's going to get a job. You heard about stuff like that? And all the different steps by themselves may be legal, but immoral, because they sabotage inclusion and transformation. Are you with me? What time do I have, sir? All right. Listen, people, one more thing. By 2050, there won't be enough white males for senior leadership position at USDA. True or false? False. There's so few positions up there, there will always be white males for the next 500 years. That's not the issue. The issue is, will we have the diversity of thought at all levels to do mission right? I think it's Einstein who said, and it's not scientifically, but he's credited for saying that the average human being only uses 10% of their brain power. So if you're going to make a good decision at USDA, APHIS, you're going to need at least 10 people focusing on it. And now with all these cutbacks to end redundancy, that may be a blessing. That will require that we move across our areas of responsibility so that we can go ahead and figure it out. We just don't have the money, but we could have the brain power, and that's also part of transformation. So don't panic that we may not have all of the resources that we had before. Let's work smarter, not harder. Are you with me? Give me a bam. And that's also part of our quest. All right, listen carefully. What I want you to do is I'm going to move these slides along. By the way, if you were to ask me, after diversity, what? The answer is diversity relevant, mission-driven mentoring, whereby we develop our skills to mentor across gender, religious, racial, sexual orientation, generational lines in order to get mission done. And so that's that. So if you could be so kind and go into your area at the slides just before the resources. If you could be so kind, look over there. I'm going to just move forward. What I want you to do, if you could be so kind, is go to those 4 questions. You have them? Here we go. Here they are. Good people, what new insights have you learned as a result of this workshop? What new insights have you learned as a result of this workshop? What is something you're going to have to stop doing as a result of lessons learned? There are books, and there's a lot of books that are going to be available. But something that you're going to have to read about more in order to increase your competency. Name a topic of a book that you should read that will increase your competencies for being a plus in the quest for transformation. A group that you may have to read more about that you don't know. And lastly, is there somebody here that you can work with and participate in a reading discussion group that may be different than you, a person different than you that you might read with in order to get this done? So here's the question. What have been the 2 most important learnings? What must I stop doing? What books should I be reading to increase my competencies? And a person that I might team up in order to have a reading discussion group. Everybody should be writing at this time. Let's take 4 or 5 minutes to do that. Enclosure. Lessons learned. What must I stop doing? Good people, if you're physically able, what I want you to do, and please follow my instructions because I've seen it work. When I give you the signal in groups of 2, not groups of 1, you may have 3, no 4s. When I give you the signal, if you could be so kind and stand up, face each other, and say, these 2 things will add value to my leadership toolkit in order to do transformation right. These are my 2 most important lessons. And there's something that I've got to stop doing in order to make it work. And then if there's a book or a group you need to know more about, and so forth. Please stand up, face to face, groups of 2, possibly 3, no 4s. Thank you. Good folks, listen up, please. Good people, listen up. This is important. I think it's Reverend John Maxwell who says if you think you're a leader and when you're taking a walk, no one is following, if you think you're a leader, and when you look back, no one is following, maybe you're just taking a walk. So what we're doing here is to make sure that we develop our competencies. Listen carefully, please. We got to do this right. We don't have a lot of time. I need 3 voices of people who are willing to raise their hand. Mr. Colbert Mike is going to go over there with the microphone so you can be heard. I want all of you to say, let your voice fill this room. Say that. Let your voice fill this room. All right. Who's going to be first? We need 3 voices. We want to listen to your comment that you share with your partner or partners. What is it that you learned? What are you going to have to stop doing? And anything else you want to add? And we'll get to the next voice and the next person. Let's get her done. Quickly, don't wait. Here we go. We have 1 voice here. Please stand and move over here so that. Oh, there's Mike. Your name and please.
Hello, I'm Vanessa Oakley. One of the insights that I learned is that I will try to no longer assume malice when harmful things are done.
Bam.
Anything else?
Next person, please.
Please raise your hand. We'll come to you, but we need 2 additional voices. There, back there. No, ma'am. You can let your voice fill the room from there. Your name, please.
Annalisa Jean-Pierre. And I want to say that I concur with Vanessa. That was one of my things. And the other thing was to stop giving up on my goals based on outside influences and to keep that fire going in my belly to pursue my endeavors.
All right. Wonderful. Applause. Let's mix it up a little bit. Keep it diverse. Who will? Yes, we have a person right here. Mike Colbert, come on down.
One of the things I am Bob Titchener. I work with PPQ. One of the things I learned, I had tended to discount people because of their behavior, people that weren't doing their jobs or looked like they didn't want to do their jobs because of what they were doing, and not realize that there might be something behind that, something that they're struggling with, and because not doing your job is usually maladaptive, and you don't do that unless there's a different reason for it. You're not doing it just for fun. So that was my insight.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else before we?
Back here.
There's another voice there, please. Please.
Good morning, Theo Friedman, Veterinary Services. I was discussing with our big people group some of the things that I'd like to change, and I think you might relate to it as well. Many times we can hear, to be honest with you, I don't know probably 99% of your names. I recognize 100% of your faces, and it will be interested getting out of the comfort zone, and suggest that perhaps taking lunch and knowing who's your neighbors, maybe put it in a picture next to our names, it will help. So, oh yeah, now the book guy, yeah, his name is Diego Friedman. Thank you very much.
All right. All right, good people. Look, this has been an incredible journey, an incredible commitment of resources at a difficult time in our country with budgets. As you know, we're going to have to do things significantly different and work harder, or rather smarter. And I think that this awareness about transformation is absolutely invaluable. I'll never forget when I met my wife-to-be, and I've never forgotten the first time I saw her. I was out in the Pacific working, doing some work, and I saw her and I became awestruck. And I approached her after a while and she said, "Are you coming on to me?" I said, "Yeah." And I'll never forget when she looked at me and I said, "I really would like to explore under what circumstances we could create a friendship that could last a lifetime." And she said, I said, would you think you might be interested in answering that question with me? And she said, "It depends." And she says, "You know, Sammy, I have some conditions. I don't want a normally scripted male, and I don't want abnormal. But I want somebody in conflict with our traditional values." I said, "What do you mean, Laura?" And she says, "Well, adultery, not an option." And I said, why are you talking about adultery when I'm talking about marriage?" And this is what she said. This is important. It'll take me a couple of more minutes, but please, I want to share this with you because it's important to transformation. She says, "Sammy, there's a double standard in the land. If a woman commits a sexual sin in a marriage and gets caught, the consequences are different than if a man commits a sexual sin and gets caught. If a man gets caught, the culture often says, forgive him. If a woman gets caught, the culture often says, kick her out of the house." She says, "I don't want to have that problem ever if our relationship ever to blossom into a marriage, because you're going to consciously and deliberately say no to that possibility, as I have." And then she says, "Divorce, not an option." I said, "Why are you talking about divorce when I'm talking about marriage?" And she says, "Because sometimes it gets tough and things become commonplace. And it's just tempting to play the I'm out of here card. And should I live a long time and not be conscious of my needs?" And you are there. By the way, we live at an interesting times. People used to retire at 65 and died at 67. Now they retired at 65 and put in 20, sometimes 30 years. Did you know that there are 20,000 licensed drivers over the age of 90 in Florida? You'll be down there and you'll see a big Lincoln drive by and there's nobody inside. You know what she said to me? She says, "Should I not be conscious of my needs, and you are, will you be there for me like I'm prepared to be there for you?" And she says we need to close the door to adultery and the door to divorce. And then she said our children will need a nurturing father, not a babysitter. And if we hug them and kiss them the right way, no one has to kiss them and hug them the wrong way. Hello? "Oh, you're in town." "No, man, I can't go. I'm babysitting." "No, you're not. You're being a father." And then she says something. She says, it takes two breadwinners often to maintain one household. If that's the case, and we both work outside of the house, we've got to do our fair share of the crappy work inside of the house. And when you vacuum and you wash and you dry and you fold and you put away, because men don't know how to put away. They can run an agency, but they don't know that this cup that they have just dried It was right here. So she says, when you sweep and you vacuum and you wash and you dry and you fold and you put away, you're not doing it for me, it's your dirt too. So don't be coming around an anniversary or birthday trying to be cool. Because if that's the game you're going to play, I'll do it those 3 times and you do it the rest of the year. And I just wanted to marry this woman. And finally I said, is there anything else? And she says, yes. One more thing. But for this one, you're going to have to look me straight in the eye. Don't you dare take your eyes away from mine. I said, okay. If there are women that you have manipulated and used for your pleasure, Sammy? If there are women that you've lied to, and because of what you have said, if there are women that because of what you have said or heaven forbid did with them, have a hope in you, I want you, don't write a telegram or a letter or a phone call except to make an appointment face to face. And this was in a little island in the Pacific. And she said, you take that Pan American jet and you go wherever you need to go face to face and you apologize. And while you're at it, you tell them that you found a woman for the rest of your life. He says, never do I want to walk through life and confront a woman that has had anything to do with you that does not know that I am the woman for the rest of your life. So I had to make a few visits. On the day we got married, listen carefully, on the way that we got married, we were both thin. In fact, our granddaughter the other day was looking at our wedding picture. I said, Maya? She did something that I did not know the script called for. She gave me this wedding band. You see, I thought this was my wedding band. With this ring I did wear, I found out that on the day we got married that wasn't it at all. She says, Sammy, this ring is a symbol of my fidelity to you. And that was not a bam, that was a kaboom. I thought this was my wedding band. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not. This wedding band right now, I mean, she's overseas working on mission for the federal government. And I'll tell you, Doc, at this moment, my sweetheart is being true to me. And how do I know it? She gave me this as a symbol of her fidelity to me. And she's got mine, and I got hers. So finally, listen up. I want you to think of your position and your status and your rank at USDA. And I want you to know that none of that really belongs to you. It belongs to the mission of this great organization to serve the American people. And therefore, don't manipulate it. Don't use it for your circles of trust advantage. Expand your circles of trust. The mission of this organization says we've got to do better together in order for us to create a workplace that transforms, that works hard, that is more productive, that is fair, and grows the talent, especially of first-generation people that come to our organization. It's in that spirit that I have been empowered to talk with you and your colleagues all around this country. And it's in that spirit that I go satisfied that I've attempted to do the best. And it's in that spirit that my colleague, Mike Colbert, from the very beginning, Mike Colbert has made sure that I get treated with respect, that I have entry, that I have the platforms, that I have support, that I've got the understanding of how we can do a better job together for USDA. And so, thank you very much. And success. Let's do transformation right. That's my email. samuel@betances.com. If you write to me, I will send you an additional list of readings. And finally, in one voice, I want all of your voices to fill this room. Just shout out, let's do transformation right. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3.
Let's do transformation right.
All right, let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you who were able to come today. We do appreciate your attendance, but it's not just about what you heard today, it's what you take away. So with one final BAM, let's send Dr. Betances on his way. Bam!